Let's listen and talk about Chopin's Waltz in B minor, opus posthumous. Very nostalgic, very melancholic piece of music. Piece of music written by 19 years old Frédéric Chopin. 19 years old, so we know Chopin's biography. Where this sadness, where this żal, this sorrow comes from? Does it come from longing for Poland or the war? Not at all, because it was still before Warsaw Uprising, and it was still before Chopin's leaving Poland for good. 19 years old Chopin is Chopin who is happy. Happily in Poland, happily with his family, in love. So, well, as we know, life is always like this. That's the first thing. Second thing, I think Chopin felt very comfortable in expressing this kind of feelings. But more likely, it was what we know from letters to his friend about his relationship, so to say, with Konstancja Gładkowska, the singer. We know that Chopin was deeply in love. It was the first love, very, very intense. And he was so sensitive and so oversensitive and romantic that one day he was over the moon, happy, in love, and another day he was completely depressed because, I don't know, she didn't look at him or she didn't talk to him, or it was a kind of platonic very, very special kind of relationship. And um, the truth is that that Chopin really could feel very sad even being in love. I mean, I think we all remember those times when we were teenagers, or maybe you are still teenagers, so you know what I'm talking about. That this longing to the person that we love, even if we didn't see her for 10 minutes, is coming up in our hearts to a tragedy of the world. And well, this is a very sad piece of music. Now, a very, very interesting thing that I want to tell you. Chopin didn't write any tempo marking, any advice of how fast it should be played. So if you have the edition and the score where you have the tempo mark here, then you can be sure that this score is not good, because it's not original. It is not based on what Chopin wrote. This is some editor decided to put the tempo in, but it's not originally Chopin. Originally, Chopin wrote nothing about the tempo, so we have freedom in the tempo, but he wrote something with his hand at the beginning, considering the character of the piece. He wrote the word dolente. Dolente from Italian means painful, full of pain. Full of pain. And this can determine our tempo. And now, when I played for you the first time, the tempo was, well, was not very fast, but was rather flowing. But, sincerely speaking, I think that if we really want to express dolente, we are bound to play it slower. Which no pianist does, unfortunately, but I will try. So after the analysis, when I play for you this waltz again, then I will present it for you in a much slower tempo, so that we can really feel this pain that is inside these melodies, which seems simple, because this waltz is simple. Now, important thing, I'm using the early version of this waltz. There are a few versions of this waltz. There is a later version of this waltz which has some double notes, and some rhythm is changing, and the melody is a little different. For me, in this waltz, simplicity is the most important thing that makes this waltz really, really beautiful. So I decided to play the simplicity, the simple version. I mean, simple, it's not that simple to play, but maybe a little bit less difficult than the later version. But I prefer this simplicity. Okay, so let's start the analysis. The first waltz is a very traditionally constructed and a typical Chopin phrase, and a very regular phrasing. The first phrase, and then the second phrase, like a question and the answer in a way. Let's analyze the first sentence. That's the first sentence. And now, the main, what we hear is the motif of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say 6 notes. There's one long and then 6 fast notes. What is special here is that the energy of music is changing. The first time we start from relaxation, because that's like a relaxation, and we are squeezing the energy, which means we are Chopin makes the tension here. So sorry, and then the second is the opposite. We start from the tension and we relax. So like inhale and exhale, or like the heart beating, right? Very regular, very natural. That's why it comes so easily inside our soul. So it happens 2 times, and then the third time is the beginning of the longer phrase. So Chopin decides that, okay, it didn't go down because 2 times he tried going down. It's something like we are trying to say something. We're trying. No, not like that. So maybe again not like that. So what to do? Maybe let's go up. Oh yes, that's much better. And then when he goes up, then he can prolong the phrase. And he is doing this. And then the end of the phrase is what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The same motif at the beginning. And then we are back at the beginning. So it's a very fantastically written, natural and regular phrase. The characteristic of this melody is that it's full of minor seconds. Can you hear this? All these minor seconds symbolize the pain. So that's why it is. And always minor second gives us the. In music, it gives us the kind of negative energy, painful energy. So this is not a coincidence that Chopin called this waltz a dolente. To play it dolente. Now, when we play it slower, as I do now, and I will do it later also, we really can feel and hear this. Character, right? And then here again, always minor seconds. And then the second phrase starts the same, but then the ending is different. Now listen to this ending. What a profound, I would say, rich melody, sophisticated melody. In a way, unpredictable melody, but now very important thing. We can find in this melody 3 motifs glued together, put together in one. Now I will show you these 3 motifs. The first one, the second one, and the third one. Probably you have never thought about it, right, like this. But when you think about it like this, I play for you a few times like this, and then I play it through, and you try to differentiate those 3 phrases. Then suddenly we understand this long phrase. Listen. Again. And now together, but try to find these 3 phrases, 3 motifs. Sorry. And I can play like that, of course, but and everything is repeated. I think this makes much more sense. So that's the first waltz, waltz number 1. Then we have waltz number 2. Which is a very salon music. Salon. And now why? Why it makes us feel like this? Why it makes us feel, why it's so elegant? Why it's so dance-like? What is here that makes us feel that way? Very simple thing, my friends. The what's the English name for that? The no. Forgot the suspended. I think it's the name is suspended. The suspended note. So the note which is before the main note that we are waiting for, and the note which we are waiting for something. So this is the symbol of longing, of waiting. When we miss somebody, we are waiting for him or her, right? So in a way, this also has this kind of meaning. So suspended note is everywhere. I will play for you now the original without suspended notes, without, so the way how it should be, the way like the main, the spine, you know, the skeleton of this phrase. Listen, and you will be surprised. It doesn't sound like Chopin, but it's still that. But so I can imagine that Chopin first had this in mind, and then he added one note, one extra note, suspended note to each of the notes, the long notes, and now we had right, and now I think instead of closing, he opens and glued together to waltz number 2 and waltz number 1. So he comes back to waltz number 1, which is also a little bit unusual thing in a waltz. And then he is adding some extra chromaticism at the beginning of the phrase. Listen. Now, it's a little bit different. More painful. And the second phrase is exactly the same like the beginning. And now we have the trio. The trio, which is in B major, so in major key. If you know my other videos about Chopin, in some of the videos I told you that B major was the key where Chopin always expressed love. Very warm, very loving, very, very, always beautiful. What do we have in the key B major? Of course, sonata or nocturne. Right? Many beautiful nocturnes in B major, and many always about love. So here, maybe Chopin now feels something else, and he has this another peak. He's not depressed, but he is full of love. And now let's make analysis of this trio, because it's actually very simple but yet very special and genius. It consists only on 2 motifs. The first one and second one. Motifs, right? Very different from each other. Let's go deeper into the first motif, because here something incredible happens. What is this? Yes, absolutely. This is the beginning, the first waltz, but in major. The melody is changing a little bit, but the rhythm stays the same. But what is in the second bar? I think you know already. The suspended note. So from so listen, my friend, this is unbelievable what Chopin is doing here. He is putting together Waltz number 1 with Waltz number 2, creating the trio in major and putting them together in just 2 bars. Isn't it wonderful? I think it's spectacular. So that's the characteristic of the first motif. And the second motif, I don't know if you also, but I can hear 2 persons. First one, second one, first one, second one. And it's like that all the time. First one, second one, first one, second. And now we are in major. Sorry. And now a very famous note. I'm sure you realized that before, that this is instead of this is the same note. And now you look at me like I'm crazy. Maybe I am, but this is the same note that this. Isn't it? Well, of course not, but yes. I mean, this note is the same note, but sad. It's sad. This note, but sad. So before, this note was happy, and then at the end of the trio it got sad. So it's now like this. And here we have the sad note, and everything goes back to sad. And in this way Chopin comes back to the beginning of the waltz. And that's how it is. So now, to conclude this video, I will play for you again this waltz in a slower tempo. I know you are not used to this tempo, but just for experiment, we have the possibility to do it because Chopin wrote no tempo here. So let's see how it will sound, and when the trio comes, which is in major, I will make it a little bit faster. sad and melancholic, and in this mood I will leave you now until the next video. Thank you very much for being with me, and see you again. Bye bye.